Welcome to the panel on challenges and priorities for the cybersecurity industries. We have four very interesting panelists here. So maybe I'm starting with this side. We have Marco Caselli from Siemens, Anja from eesy-innovation, and Ramon from CaixaBank, and Thanh from both OsloMet and Perner. So the main idea of this panel is to have a better insight on what challenges there are in the cybersecurity industries and what priorities there are ultimately, and how we can address them in projects like this, as well as in future interactions or future projects that we have in the cybersecurity community in general. So perhaps Marco, if you would like to start to briefly talk about what you have been doing in Concordia so far and what specific challenges you see for your industry or for industrial communities like this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cora. Thanks, everybody, for joining this panel. So, as said, I'm Marco Caselli. I've been working with Siemens for the last 6 years, and I'm a senior key expert in attack detection. So I belong to a research department in Siemens. It's called Technology and Cybersecurity and Trust. So we joined Concordia at the beginning of the project, so 4 years ago almost. And so our role within the project was to deal with threat intelligence sharing. So, and this idea developed over time, and this became the development of a threat intelligence platform for Concordia, and really trying to put together all the core contributions in the field of threat intelligence. That said, this is basically now becoming much more concrete. We had the demo. If you didn't see it, please come back to us at the end of the panel. But the idea is that we are putting together this core contributions. As said, threat intelligence sharing, this was the part Siemens did. Then we have the incident clearinghouse from DFNCERT, the way we signal a problem to the Concordia partners and beyond, and then the DDoS clearinghouse, how we deal with denial services attack. This was SIDN. So this is what we have been doing in Concordia. I mean, Siemens is big, and we have a lot of cybersecurity challenges. So threat intelligence sharing is just one of them. I will briefly mention that one of the key points for us is really looking at the integration between the IT and the OT world. This has become, has been a priority for years, and this is also something that we are looking into in the threat intelligence domain. What comes into place when you have OT threat intelligence, and does this even exist? What it is? These are the problems we're looking at. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Anja, maybe you'd like to continue, please.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today's panel. So, as Cora just mentioned, I'm coming from small-medium enterprise company eesy-innovation, and we are working mostly on IoT solutions in different areas. Specifically, what we do in Concordia project, we are taking part together with industrial partners and university partners in a health pilot, when we are tackling a little bit on the security issues in this area. Specifically, what we do and what we are focusing on are security issues that are coming in home area and also emergency services. As you know, with the aging of society and also what COVID, our favorite word, has showed us in last years, are issues that are coming with moving healthcare systems from the home area, but also on the need on having reliable, secure communication from emergency services to hospitals and similar in real time. This is some of the things we are tackling here, and for us as a small medium enterprise company, of course, it's really beneficial working with big industrial partners, also to get to know what are the other cybersecurity issues in different areas, not just in the health part. And the chance to get in touch actually with universities and research centers and see what's coming, what are the ideas, and what could bring us a benefit in a sense of networking, and also to extend knowledge as well on some issues that are coming and improve in the end cybersecurity in the small medium enterprise company, because as you know, this is a huge issue, and also one of the topics we are addressing in the project are the cybersecurity issues and how to help small medium enterprise companies to treat this.
Thank you. Thanh, maybe you could go next. So it's not just always the line.
Sorry. My name is Thanh Vando. I'm working for Telenor, and I'm leading the task 2.1, which is the telecom pilot. So we in the telecom sector, we are running the so-called critical infrastructure. So all of the industry are using the communication, that especially for digitization. So you use our mobile network, you use our fixed network. So if we go down, then everyone will go down. So this is really important, and we would like very much to protect ourselves, but we are in the obligation to protect everyone, every customer as well. So in the Concordia project, we in our group we have three operators. One is Telefonica, the second one is Telecom Italia and Telenor, and we have a slightly different focus. For Telecom Italia is about how to make use of indication of compromise, meaning that the way to detect and attack, because there are so many of them, so they would like to make use, to rank them, to filter them, and really to make the use efficient, because if you have so many information, then it may not be useful. So they make use of machine learning to do the ranking, to the filtering, and also to delete the one that are obsolete. The second focus is about device leak, about privacy. So some application is leaking privacy data, and this is the focus of Telefonica. And in order to prevent that, they make use of federation learning. So it's one of the really not yet mainstream in machine learning, but it's becoming, because it's preserve privacy. So this is the work of Telefonica. While Telenor, we are focusing on 5G, because we believe that 5G will be the backbone of the European, the Western society, and it's going to support everything, and not only mobile phone, but IoT devices. So it's going to be billion of IoT devices, and if they go mad and start to attack the network, then the 5G network will be down. Before proceeding, I would like to stress that basically the mobile network is quite secure, but we don't feel that it's secure enough, because if we are not doing anything, then the enemies will find the vulnerability. So we are working on that, and we are making use of course of machine learning and AI in order to improve the detection of anomaly or new attack, because there will be zero-day attack, new attack that we never know, but it's going to be detected as abnormal situation, and by that we can have experts to have a look on whether it's a true attack or not. So this is the three focus, and we are quite pleased that we met a lot of good results that bring value for the community. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ramon Martín de Pozuelo. Thank you, everyone, for attending this panel. And I work in the security innovation in CaixaBank, Okay, CaixaBank is the first institutional financial institution in Spain in terms of the number of clients, but also in terms of innovation. We have received a lot of awards, being the best innovation financial institution in the Western Europe several times. And cybersecurity is a very important part of us, as you may understand, as a financial company. Because at the end, the trust of our clients is the most important for us on the financial services sector. And to keep that trust, the cybersecurity is a key issue. Our work, the work of our team in the cybersecurity department, is to be a radar of any potential innovation that can appear and to be early adopters on those solutions in cybersecurity. And what we have done in Concordia is especially that, not only looking at those solutions, but being part of those solutions and being part of building those solutions. And at the beginning, in the proposal phase, we very focus on the part of threat intelligence. And actually, it's a use case that I have a booth there with a poster and a demo, and I can present you some of the things that we have done about that. What we wanted is to reduce the reluctancy of the financial sector to share data. That is very high. If I go to the, well, it's very high in many senses and many levels of the entity. Not only on the legal departments, that for sure they are reluctant to share data always, but also at some levels in the cybersecurity team, they are also reluctant. And it's something that we want to change internally, but also in the whole ecosystem. Because cybersecurity at the end, sharing data in cybersecurity is very important, is becoming critical at the end in order to have a faster response to any incident and to detect earlier the cyber attacks. But the thing is that in the case, for example, of MISP, that is a platform that is becoming the de facto standard for sharing information in Europe, there is a category already prepared for financial institutions, that it's financial fraud, and it's the one that we focus on. We wanted to provide automate anonymization or encryption of information in order to provide the features for sharing that data, but also keeping the privacy of that information that could include sensitive client information like IBANs or credit card numbers. That's one of the parts of that we have done in Concordia. We have also worked on other use cases related to reduce the time and provide a secure know your customer process using the digital identity of the client. As you may know, or probably not, but the European Commission is focusing on a new initiative on providing a digital identity wallet in which that will be like your digital identity, like your credit, like your identity card, but digital. And that will be a new means of identity that you can use it to authenticate with several service providers, like for example, a bank or a telco or whatever. In the case of financial entities, that will be mandatory to accept that digital identity in 2024. So that's also a big change that is coming in the new coming years, and it's something to be prepared. And in the cybersecurity department want to be prepared for that. So that's something that we also work in Concordia. Well, I think that we can continue that discussion.
Sure, thank you. So in terms of industry, I think we have a very wide representation here. And from my side, I also represent the task 2.5 in Concordia, which is related to secure communication for mobile communication systems. And there we also, as research projects usually do. We started with one idea which was really focused on secure communication, on how to have a secure authentication between two vehicles, so how to make sure that you know who you're talking to, which is not only relevant with fixed devices, but in a mobile, for autonomous vehicles, it's very hard. You can't just rely, okay, I have talked to that vehicle or device before. I haven't. Probably a challenge you will also face in the telecom sector. And but we moved on towards more complex cases. For example, how if I have a collaborative action, if I, for example, share traffic data between vehicles, how do I decide whether to trust another vehicle? How do I decide which type of data I'm sharing? How can I decide whether my data will be safe with that entity, whether I can rely on the information I get? And also how can attacks propagate into such systems? So maybe we can start with our more interactive discussion. We have a wide variety of industries represented here. So maybe, Marco, how do you see the interfaces with other industries? Do you see there's really that the cybersecurity risks are really similar over industries, or do you see that there are very specific challenges that are faced by particular industries, for example?
Well, of course, you're going to have both cases. I mean, standard IT is ubiquitous, meaning that we are going to find it everywhere. And I think this is something that is cross-sectorial. Then every vertical will have its own specificity. And I mean, of course, talking about Siemens, I was already discussing or briefly mentioning the fact that the physical operation, the security you have to put in place when it comes to programmable logic controllers, so all the components that are running our critical infrastructures is of key importance. So again, it's a little bit of both. You have to be prepared in detecting and responding to a threat that is hitting the standard IT, and that's going to be common. You're going to have to be ready to detect something that goes really in depth into your own vertical, and then really requires you to have a specific knowledge about what you're running there. And if you move to the sharing part, I was mentioning as well. So if it comes to threat sharing, you have the same situations, I would say, because you have ways and sharing groups in which you share information about threats that are common and cross-sectorial. And again, I mean, we had this concept in Concordia because we had the pilots, but we had the cross-sectorial pilots. I mean, threat sharing was supposed to be a cross-sectorial pilot, and yet again, the sharing didn't end up there being only cross-sectorial, but we had to think how we are going to share information that are just for a vertical. And then we had to develop, for example, taxonomies that were to be used only within specific vertical. And I mean, I will point to Thanh definitely because you guys did a very nice job on the mobile taxonomy that was pushed into MISP. I think that was a perfect example of something that was born as a cross-sectorial idea. We want to share information, but telco needed to share something specific that didn't concern the others.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when we are talking about sharing, there are many issues that it's not just about dumping information. It's about, you know, to share information that are usable for other parties. And when we are in different branch, different vertical, so we may have things that are in common, but we may have things that are completely different and not relevant. So we need taxonomy. We need the way in order to share and not really to to them so useless information, because information needs to be processed, and so we have to find a way, and this is one of the challenge. It's not only about the will to share, but how, so and taxonomy and the MISP is something that we are working on, and this is good. So we are talking about also sharing not only across sector, but about inside within one sector. Usually we are competitors, so sometimes it's a problem for Telenor to share with Telefonica. Oh, I don't have any problem with Nicolas, but maybe my marketing, they don't want, So it's kind of so we need to find the way to share things, and there's something called liability as well. So if I disclose things too early, and it may hurt, and so we really don't know the consequences. So because it's a matter of security, liability, maybe we are talking about million, So this is another challenge. It's not only technically, but it's also a matter of, and also there is a legal aspect. We don't have the right to share information, So this is something that has to be really studied, because so some company, we have example that company that are disclosing that they were attacked, and they disclosed the way they were attacked, and they in the way invite people to attack them, so or invite to and teach others to use to attack other company. So this is something that has to be thought carefully.
I think you raised a very important point earlier, and it's good that you're going to hand the microphone to Ramon. So it's very interesting. You've been using data and information in alternatively, and I think I would really like to go more into that point, because it's one thing to share. I have I don't know, 15 alerts on that port with an buffer overflow. I don't know. That's not very useful information to have. So perhaps you could elaborate a bit more on how you can ensure that you share information and not only data, or vice versa.
Okay, I don't know if I can extend on how can I assure that it's good information, or just raw data, or in any case, at the end, I think that this is one of the roadblocks of sharing data. If you have to have several people analyzing that data that are receiving, and the amount of data and false positives is not manageable, that is not operative, and you will not share data at all. So that's, as before I commented, one of the roadblocks, that is regulations, constraints, privacy, and so on. This is the other one. And I think that is one of the things that we should focus on. We have focused on Concordia in several tasks, is to automatically evaluate those indicators of compromise that we are receiving, in order to validating, or at least scoring them, in order to support these people working on threat intelligence, and reducing the amount of false positives that we should have. Because if not, it's not operative, and that will not work, and we will not have this threat sharing environment in a widespread, European widespread.
Okay, thank you. Anja, so from your, it goes in a similar direction, but if you have a lot of, as a small or medium-sized enterprise, you obviously don't have the resources to have 15 people looking at all the information that's been shared with you. So how do you ensure that you still get benefits without occupying your whole team, ultimately only sifting through the information that's been shared?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's a huge problem for SMEs company. By 2018, we have counted around 25 million of SMEs in the Europe, so that means that 99% of businesses are driven somehow with SMEs. So cybersecurity issues, and when they happen in the SME, it could mean really dead company. So the company could be closed afterwards, and consequences can be really high. As you mentioned, the economical aspects are not really easily letting us employ people who will be just in charge for the cybersecurity issues. So most of the cases, the guy who is in charge of IT infrastructure is the one who is responsible for these things. So now the question comes, how to educate the people in the company. What we heard earlier on in discussion, how to educate the people in the company starting from management to assure that all what we are doing are somehow safe, that to assure that we won't suffer any kind of cybersecurity attack. So data sharing is definitely one of the issues that, but I think within the project we really got a good tools, we really got a good input how we can do it, courses and ways how to educate our employees in order to be assured that we won't have any catastrophes or issues in the future. So yeah, this is really beneficial, and what really drives us through this project and brings a lot of benefits is learning actually and knowing more issues and how to go through it when something happens, and or even better to prevent it. So.
Okay, thank you. Ramon, earlier, sorry.
Just to complement, you know, we in Telenor, we believe that as a communication provider and operator, because we are monitoring the traffic, you know, and we are in the position to get updated about all sorts of attacks. So now we start to have security as a service that we can offer to private person, to elderly person that don't know anything about security, but we are also offering for SME, because okay, you can have knowledge about security, but attacks are keep coming new one, and it's not easy really to get updated and to know how to defend. So it could be an idea to have let's say professional company providing that, and like Telenor now we are offering you know, like a service, yeah, that we do the monitoring of the firewall, we do the intrusion detection, and we are helping company. And then we are working because we need, what we need is intelligence, right? Intelligence. We need information. So even you have knowledge, but if you don't have these intelligence, then you cannot defend yourself in an efficient way. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, even if I may? No, I'm very interested in this. I mean, this is something that we see also within Siemens, because we help the industry to which we provide components, for example, services. Also, we help them with cybersecurity. But I think what you mean here is that within the same vertical, we can have this kind of partnership, right? Because I think it becomes really difficult to. So sometimes I'm challenged with the idea of this external SOCs. We have been discussing about that. So really, cybersecurity teams that help other companies. And I'm always wondering, like, how much knowledge do you need to have for helping really a company? And I was really also interested in what Anja said. So, I mean, I guess, as I said, the small medium enterprise participate into this project because you want to learn, for example. But is it really something like learning as in the educational part, or is it also like using some technologies, for example, or how deep we can go in helping SMEs if we don't know exactly the technology you're using? This is something that I'm wondering about.
So definitely learning in a sense of technology, because especially working with industrial partners and knowing we can really get a lot of protection on the cybersecurity issues by using different tools and new technologies, but also from the research part where we can learn a little bit more in which direction technology is going and what are the new solutions we can implement later on together with industrial partners or separately.
Okay, I think that's a very good transition towards moving from the research side towards business, which is ultimately what pays our wages. And so, on the one hand, from what I understand from your discussion, cybersecurity is a mandatory enabler that allows us to stay competitive and to keep continuing your business. If you don't take cybersecurity into account, it might endanger your existence. And on the other hand, you can offer it as a solution to other in companies or industries. So perhaps, Ramon, can you elaborate a bit more what's for your industry as a bank? What is the focus for you?
Well, we are users of cybersecurity at the end, not providers, and we have a bunch actually of a whole ecosystem of providers as a bank with several providers for each of the aspects of the cybersecurity that we are controlling, from local and cloud monitoring to IAM to XOR or XDR or whatever. So we have different providers for each of the aspects of the cybersecurity that we are trying to cover in our complex ecosystem that we have to control everything in the bank. And normally we are not those part of the developers. So here we are taking another role as part of this innovative enterprise that we want to be, not only in the finance ecosystem, but also in the technology ecosystem. And that's what we are supporting researchers in this research and industry collaboration for specific tailor-made solutions that we can adopt earlier than others that can provide us also a good position in that rank and in the whole ecosystem. So mainly we are not that providers, but we want to be drivers of new solutions. Depends a lot on the nature and each entity, okay, the nature of each entity. Normally, there are other bank companies and financial institutions that are much more reluctant to adopt new solutions that we are. Actually, it's normally a conservative sector, the financial sector. But it shouldn't be. We are an example of not being that, and we're trying to be a model for others.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I can say also something about this, because you were talking about business, and usually the starting point of a discussion with cybersecurity is always that it costs money, and that's a very painful discussion sometimes. And that is usually solved by showing, like with the threat and risk analysis, how much an incident would cost and so on and so forth. But I would be really keen on saying that cybersecurity becomes business, not just because with some companies you have a product that you sell, but it's really because ensuring security, you win out customers. And this is something that is driving, for example, Siemens right now. So we are winning contracts because we are showing that our solution as an infrastructure, as a product, is not just working good or better than others, but the point is that our solution is secure. And we show that there is a security concept behind that, And that is something that is winning contracts. So this is actually a business driver.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, Anja, because I can imagine for you it's even more, the constraints are even larger for if you are a small company that you don't, they can't easily justify why should you invest that one person you have on cybersecurity rather than on adding a green button to them.
Yeah, sure. That's why lately ENISA has launched some kind of recommendation for SMEs, at least that we could start educating the members of the company or colleagues, as mentioned, in order at least to prevent certain things before anything happened. But effect on the business, on SMEs, it's really high, as mentioned, and all this COVID also changed the situation a lot. Even before COVID, a lot of SMEs started with this, let's say, digitalization process, remote working and similar, and COVID really forced us to do way faster all these topics without trying to not feel any kind of impact on the business. So yeah, definitely in the future, more education, reusage, more collaboration with industries would help us a lot, and all the knowledge and networking we got from the project would help a lot.
Okay, great.
You know, nowadays cybersecurity is not only about to get a virus, but you know, somebody can crash your car, your electric car, you know, and so it's and then stop your heating, you know, and so it's about everything. So I think that people are started to be aware of that, but the main question is what can they do about that? So I mean that there should be a way to notify, to let the people know that something is happening. For instance, that there is a fraud. Somebody call you and telling that I'm from Microsoft, blah blah blah, and your computer is infected. Please click that link. You know, all these things. Somehow, if we can propagate that, we can tell regular people about that, just that they can be aware. Just a simple thing, or the flu bot, you know, or you know, things that are circulating, and somehow if we, it's helped a lot. And for the bank, if there is some kind of fraud going on, you know, try to cheat your password. If you inform, you know, so I think very simple things. Last year in Norway, a lot of elderly people, they got their bank account empty because, you know, somebody called and asked them to reset the password of the bank, and they did that, and then yes, turns out, yeah. So all these things is about communication as well.
Yeah, let me say, I mean, this doesn't make good just for the people themselves, but also for the security provider, because it, again, I'm talking about the experience within Siemens. So when it comes to the industry, the power plant, the electrical grid that you have to protect, I mean, if the people are aware of what cybersecurity is and are aware of what they could do to help them not being attacked or under attack, I mean, that helps a lot the work we have to do in protecting that critical infrastructure. So it's a key part, and that's why I'm very happy that in Concordia, when we touch all these different aspects coming from education, I mean, the trainings are very helpful. Then you have to, I mean, I'm not saying that training will solve all the problems. You will have to have security in place with cutting-edge technology anyway, but that cutting-edge technology will work much better with the training.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I have a positive feeling, at least as you said, that the things are changing and in how the people are aware about cybersecurity at the industrial level and also at the customer level. And then people are more and more aware about cybersecurity and the potential, in our case, the potential frauds that they can have, the people. So this work that Concordia is doing about the education at the industrial, but also at the public level is very important, because at the end is the part of this security awareness is crucial for providing a better security at the end and being more effective. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So maybe as we're nearing the end of the panel, we can talk a bit more about the collaboration with academia, because I mean here in this panel we are mostly from industry, but Thanh, you also have a role as at a university. So perhaps you can say a bit on the collaboration between academia and industry, and why do you think it's important with your both hats on?
Well, it's very important because we need to educate the next generation. And this generation has to be fit, will have to have the knowledge, yeah. And the only way is collaboration, because the university will have the theoretical knowledge, but university mostly don't have the practical knowledge, and really, so if there is a close collaboration, like in case of Norway, we have the collaboration in between industry and university, and we get the funding from the government. Let's say for a PhD student, half and half, paid by the government, such that they can study at the university at the same time they have work at the industry to have practical, because at the industry there is a real need, there is a real demand. Why at the university you have more theory? So if you have a case to apply, then it would be really really good. And we in the project, especially in the CONCORDIA project, we are both in work package 1 and work package 2, and the collaboration is done this way. So I believe that it's not only the university and industry, but also the government, also SME, and so the more we are doing together, the better, because now you need really equipment. You need money to do research here, and if you are not working together, then it's too expensive, and it's not sustainable. So collaboration is key, community is key, and I believe that only at national level is not sufficient. We need European level, and it's not easy. I think that at the beginning of the CONCORDIA project, I could not believe or imagine how we can work together, and even in the same task. But now we are working across tasks, and we know each other, and we discuss. But I'm really, really sorry that we are at the end. So this is, I feel that we need more continuity in Europe, and I don't know how to deal with that, because we are at the end of the project, and we need to start all over again.
We got the extension, so 3 more months to have fun.
Marco, maybe because Thanh raised the point of collaboration. So do you see it more as the industry passes over the problem to academia, and then you reap in the result, or is it for you a more dynamic?
We tried, it didn't work. No, it didn't work. I would say, I mean, it's more about having challenges here to me. I enjoy collaboration with universities. I think we had great work, not just in Concordia, but I mean, at Siemens, okay, we are a research department. We always have collaboration with universities, and I find it very interesting all the time, getting new perspectives, absolutely. There is a challenge to me that goes always in the direction of what's your goal here in this collaboration. And universities, so to simplify, is having a paper being accepted, and industry is having something that I can sell. And putting these two things together is not easy. And I don't think there is an easy solution for that. It takes a lot of discussion with that. And I don't think necessarily like every collaboration works. It's really about knowing who you're talking to and then finding out the best fit for what you have to do. So,
I totally agree with you. I was going to say that it's very, very hard task, what we have done in Concordia and other collaboration projects, because at the end, if at the end of the project I go to my CTO, my CTO will say to me, okay, what can we adopt from Concordia? Okay, okay, let's wait a little bit, because it's not only the work on Concordia. It should be a commitment by the enterprises on continuing the support beyond the project in order to go beyond this ballet after the solution. It is in a TRL 7 or 8 and it's adopted. There is a critical point here where it needs some support in order to do the technology transfer from that point to really the adoption in the industry or the commercialization of it. And it's very hard work, but for sure those kind of projects are this spark of the collaboration that helps us to define challenges together and then to work on them. But at the end, it needs the commitment afterwards of supporting the research on that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Marco. That it's really interesting to work with researchers, but obviously then at the end you have to go to say, oh, and yet what's the return of investment? I don't know the terms. And go to your respective management and say, okay, how can we bring this into our products? How can we bring this into either to support ongoing activities? How can we make sure it's the results are transferred and the knowledge is transferred? Because usually the research department is not the same as the department that develops.
Absolutely. I mean, we have kind of the same problem even within Siemens. I mean, if you talk about the research department I belong to, there are a lot of projects that in the end the business unit are not reluctant, but maybe they see the difficulties of taking this, and then they are asking us the same questions. It's like, okay, are you going to support that for the future? And it's difficult because our driver is still innovation, and so you cannot really operate a solution and become a service provider at that point. But still, this is something that they ask. And so we have always the same problems, only a slightly different perspective, so I would say.
Is it easier for you, Anja, because you have the same person who will continue to work on it, or?
I would say so. We don't have these legal issues, different departments, and a lot of discussions with the smaller groups. Is definitely way easier to communicate, talk, and check on the new business opportunities. So yeah, I agree. Working with universities also for SMEs is really a huge benefit, knowing new technologies, new ideas, and really implementing it. And furthermore, extending collaboration. It doesn't mean that it's a business model that will immediately be implemented, but maybe it's something in a long term that will bring a good benefit to the company. So we should also see it on that way.
Okay, thank you. Ramon, earlier you mentioned standardization and regulation. So for us in the aviation industry, our standardization is protocols from the 1960s. And you can have an educated guess on how much security they implement. So how do you see it? Is it really that in your industry? And that will be a question for all of you. So is it really the technology that drives the standardization, or is it, and then by the time it's standardized, it's already outdated? Or is it, do you really wait or have to wait for the standardization in order to have some useful development?
It depends on the cases, because we are the financial sector is a highly regulated sector. And at the end, regulation is one of our drivers. So it's a very specific sector in that sense. But if we consider not compliance, that will be the part of regulation, but we consider only part of cybersecurity, I will say that technology is normally the driver, and then comes the regulation, the certifications, and so on. So we have this twofold. On the one hand, the things that are more related to cybersecurity normally is technology, and then it's the part of the standardization, regulation, and so on. But then all the parts related to financial sector compliance and regulation, in those cases, it is a driver. For example, what I commented before about the European digital identity, that will be a driver for us because we have to adapt our systems to this new kind of means of authentication of the customers, and we have to adopt it for all the bank ecosystem. So that will be a change that we will not do if it's not because of regulation. Also GDPR, PSD2, or whatever.
I would like to talk a little bit about standardization. You know, Europe, we used to be the #1 in mobile communication in 2G. GSM, you know, we are the champion. Why? Because at the time the standardization was done by ETSI, and it was with the participation of Norwegian Telecom, France Telecom. It's a governmental operator. So the government in Europe worked together and put the money, and we are working very good, and we define the GSM, the digital mobile communication system. And the very nice things is what we invented the SIM card, which allow the separation between the subscription and the device. And then we paved the way for the development of mobile phone, and at this time it was Ericsson first, and then Nokia, and really it was the golden age in Europe. So we did it very well, but then it's come to the regulation. So all the national operators privatize and become limited company. And they reduce the research budget, they reduce the work on standardization. And then we lost the button of 3G, we lost 4G, and 5G we are completely out. Because now, if we look at the standardization work at 3GPP for 5G, you know, I participate time to time, I'm alone. Then Huawei is coming with 20%. Google is coming with 20%, Apple 20%, Samsung, and I am looking at France Telecom. No, it's not France Telecom anymore. You know, anywhere in Europe, we are not there. We are not present. And then now there are some fora in Europe, in ETSI, in ITU, working with AI and machine learning, you know, autonomous system. And I did not see European. I see Chinese, I see American, I see Korean. And where are we, you know? So this is something that I think that, okay, we need to be present, we need to in some way, and now because most of the company in Europe, we are suffering. We are not as rich as Amazon, we are not as rich as Tesla, we are not as Google, you know. So they if there is a startup, European, a good one, will be bought by American. That's for sure. So this is the reality, you know. And okay, maybe US is not that good, but they have the money. They can buy everything. Yeah. So that's what I see as reality. but I don't have the solution. I don't know what to do with that. But this is what I observe. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So perhaps to wrap up this panel, because we have a few more minutes left, maybe you can say in just one or two sentences, what is the biggest cybersecurity challenge for your industry in the next 5 years, perhaps?
Yeah, well, if I take the Siemens perspective, I mean, for sure, there has been a lot of talking about where the data is, and so moving things like operational technology in the cloud is for sure a big challenge nowadays, understanding what you can do, what you are willing to do, and where to store the data. Can you do it securely or not? I mean, this is for sure one challenge. Second one, we have been talking again in the OT world about zero trust. Can you go away from the idea that you want to defend a border, but just defend in depth, and every OT device, legacy device, can be authenticated and evaluated all the time? I mean, these are definitely two big challenges here that we still have to solve.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say for the small companies, maybe the biggest challenges that are coming are changes in infrastructure level, especially related to more protection, more tools, more knowledge exchange, definitely investment in new technologies, and checking on the market for the new solutions. Where is the IoT world going, for instance? Connections, a lot of AI topics as well. There are now a lot of data being processed on the edge devices, so this is one really strong topic, and security levels there are really becoming more and more popular.
Okay, thank you. So for aviation, it's very similar. So we also have the problems that the devices are increasingly connected, increasingly talking to each other, and thus obviously attacks can spread. And you have legacy devices. I mean, aircraft typically fly 30 years, so you know what your mobile phone could do 30 years ago.
Yeah, actually, I share completely the 2 points that Marco has said about the journey to cloud. It's one of our biggest challenges right now, taking into account as well the great amount of data that we have and how that should be exploited. And also the zero trust. But another additional challenge will be a continuous real-time threat hunting that allows us to have an earlier response to any cyber attack and coordinated response with other entities in the financial sector and also cross-sectorial.
And to supply, and I believe it's very important, is that we are more active in artificial intelligence and machine learning. You know, we have to be there because actually even in security we need to use that, and right now I believe that we are behind. We are behind the US, and we are behind China in terms of machine learning. And of course, yeah, we are talking about quantum communication, quantum theory, and we need to have a look on that and to improve our algorithm and try to work on that, because otherwise it's going to be so post-quantum cryptography is something that we need to work on and to invest on as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So with that, very good insights. We conclude this panel. Thank you very much. Thank you. And